Today is National Cinnamon Bun Day. So I'm here with my friends and neighbors, Aaron and Patricia Kammerman. These cinnamon rolls are famous, at least in my family. They're so good, and they've used these for fundraisers and stuff. How do the cinnamon rolls bring joy to your family, those around you? What do these cinnamon rolls kind of mean to you, I guess?
I know you hear all the cooking shows talk about how joyful it is that other people are eating your food, but that's true. Food is a unifying thing for the family. And when my daughter wakes up in the morning and says, "Dad, are we gonna have cinnamon rolls?" Or when I'm able to go wake her up and say, "Hey, the cinnamon rolls are ready," there's a fun joy in that, being able to make something that you know your kids love, and it's kind of a treat. There's a sentimental thing about it, because my mom made cinnamon rolls for us a lot growing up. Well, not a lot, with enough frequency that it was a treat when we had them. So it brings joy because I know my kids like it. Their friends like it when they come over, you know, and I like, you know, treating my kids' friends to cinnamon rolls, or the neighbors sometimes.
Where did you get this recipe?
This recipe I found online as a quick, easy roll recipe. And after I made rolls with it, I thought, oh, these should work for cinnamon rolls. So the history behind it, my mom made cinnamon rolls growing up, and they're the best ever. And I actually have her recipe, but this is a triple rise recipe. So you have to make it in the evening, let it rise in the fridge, punch it down, let it rise again. So it takes forever. So I hadn't made cinnamon rolls for the first 10, 12 years of our marriage, more than like once or twice on special occasions. But then when I found this very quick recipe, then it became kind of a tradition in our family, and I made cinnamon rolls often. And there were times I made them almost every Sunday morning. Cinnamon rolls and hash browns was kind of like the breakfast for a while on Sunday mornings. So yeah, it's become a fun recipe to use in the family because it's so quick.
And I'm coming over on Sunday morning.
Okay, this is how I make my cinnamon rolls. First, start by turning the oven on. Then in your mixer, you're gonna put in a 1/4 cup of sugar, and you're gonna put in 2 1/4 cups of milk that you've warmed up to about 100 degrees. That's not exact. And if you want to use powdered milk, you can just use really hot water and put in the dry powdered milk with the flour. You're also going to put in a 1/4 cup of margarine that you've melted, or butter. Then you're going to put in 4 teaspoons of yeast. Then mix that around a little bit to get that yeast incorporated into the milk and sugar. Then you're going to let that sit for about 5 minutes to let the yeast activate. Okay, so after about 5 minutes, you'll notice air bubbles forming in the liquid. The yeast is starting to work and do its thing. So that's what it looks like. So now you know you're ready to go. About this time, I want you to turn the oven off. The reason you turned it on before was just to heat the oven up to create a warm spot so that rolls could rise, and this will make everything go quicker in your process. So turn the oven off, and you have a warm oven for the rolls to rise. Now you're going to add the flour and the salt. So the flour, I don't have an exact measurement for you, so you'd have to just go kind of by look. So I put about 4 cups in to begin with. And then put about a teaspoon of salt in there as well. and then mix. Okay, so we've mixed it up with 4 cups. You can see that it's rather runny. You want a dough that's not very runny and not too stiff. So at this point you're gonna add flour in smaller quantities until you get the right. So I'm gonna put maybe a 1/2 cup in and see if that does the trick. Okay, this is just about how I like it. You could work with dough like that, but I'm going to add a little bit more. Now, if you accidentally add too much flour, which has happened to me in the past, and it gets just too thick, then you could add a little more milk in there and fix it that way. Okay, so once you got the dough to, I don't know how to describe it, but a nice roll dough consistency, then some people like to work with oil on their surface. I just like to work with flour. So turn the dough out onto a floury surface. And then I just like to quickly knead it for maybe just a couple seconds, just to make sure there's no lumps or anything. Then you're going to roll it out into a large rectangle.
Give it a nice massage.
Give it a nice pat down. Then roll it out into a nice large rectangle. Now, some people will make this thick and they'll just turn their cinnamon rolls over and make kind of like cinnamon knots and just turn them twice. I have a friend who makes hers that way. I prefer to make this kind of thinner, so that you could roll the dough a lot and have lots of layers of cinnamony, sugary goodness that you're chewing through when you're eating. So once you roll it out, take 1/4 cup of melted butter. Now some people don't work with melted butter, they just kind of take butter and smear it on with their fingers. Some people put butter and cream cheese in the filling, but that's okay. Then you're going to put your filling in, cinnamon and sugar. I always do the cinnamon first. The reason being is I like to see where I put the sugar down, and it's easy to see where you put the sugar down if you have the cinnamon down first. So cinnamon, I couldn't tell you a quantity, I just go until it looks good. And then it's about 1/4 to 1/3 cup of sugar. This is probably surprising Jake that there's sugar in these cinnamon rolls.
What?
Then roll them up. I don't like there to be a lot of flour on the inside, so I'll take a brush or use my fingers to take the flour off the outside of the cinnamon rolls. It probably doesn't matter at all. It's just a personal pet peeve. Okay, after you have it rolled up, I'm gonna use a big jelly roll pan. And this recipe, if I do it right, will fit about 2 dozen on here, I think. I can never remember. So I kind of cut mine in half, and then cut it in half again. And then I try to get 6 out of each of these. Of course, you could make them bigger. Now, I would prefer to have walnuts and raisins in my cinnamon rolls, but not everybody likes that, so I rarely put walnuts and raisins in mine. I'm probably gonna get too much that'll fit on the pan, but we'll squeeze them all in. So just make room and squeeze some more in where you need to. Okay, now your oven should be warm. So you're gonna set this in your warm oven and let them rise. Okay, I love cinnamon rolls, but I don't think I have ever, nor will I ever, eat a cinnamon roll without frosting on top. I just couldn't imagine that. So we have to make some frosting. So frosting, you basically need fat, sugar, milk, and vanilla. And you really can't mess it up. So don't worry about like exact quantities. You just need to have some approximate ratios. So I'm going to put some butter in. I'm putting about 1/2 cube. And then I'm going to take cream cheese, because I love cream cheese frosting. And I'm going to put about the same amount of cream cheese in there. Okay, I'm going to put more cream cheese in there. Then I'm going to get out my mixer, which I didn't do before. Then I'm going to mix just this up, because if I put the milk and the vanilla in before I do it, it'll kind of splatter all over on me. So just quickly mix up the butter and now put a little bit of milk in, maybe about an 1/8 or 1/4 of a cup maybe. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then I'm going to put in some powdered sugar now. Again, that's to stop that liquid from splashing up on me. Then just keep adding powdered sugar until it's the consistency that you like. If you add too much powdered sugar, you can add a little bit of milk. Takes a lot of powdered sugar. Okay, we're gonna test that. See if that's good. I think that's good. There's the consistency of it. in case you want to see that. It's completely personal preference. Some people like to do more of a glaze. I like mine to be more of a heavier frosting. So that'll sit and wait for the nice hot cinnamon rolls. So let's check them. Let's see if they're at the right spot to start in the oven. You can see that they filled out. There's no spaces in between them, and the middles are starting to come up. So I would say that's a good time to cook them. So just keep them in your oven, and just now start your oven at 350, and about the time that your oven gets preheated, about that time is when they're going to be done, depending on if your oven's kind of like mine. So I'm going to hit 350 and start it, and it takes about 18 minutes, maybe 18 to 20 minutes to cook them. And when they start getting brown on the top, and when you touch them and they spring back up, they don't make an indentation and stay down, then you know they're going to be done. You can always sacrifice a corner one and take it out and see if you like it. I like mine just done, like almost raw, but my wife likes them a little more done, where they're a little more, I don't want to say dry, but to me they're a little bit drier. So I like mine when they're just done. Okay, I had set the timer for 15 minutes. There's still 4 minutes on it, but the preheated oven beeper went off. So we're gonna check them. You can see that they kind of spring back up, and that they're brown. They're starting to be golden. So that's perfect. So we'll take them out. And in 3 or 4 minutes, we're gonna put frosting on, and then we get to eat them. Yes! Okay, you're gonna wanna frost these while they're still warm, of course, because you wanna eat them with frosting while they're still warm. So I'll just show you how I frost them. I just take a big tablespoon and put maybe a half a tablespoon on the top of each. Sometimes you need to come and fill in the cracks later, but that's okay. Letting your kids frost them gives them an easy job to do. And you can't really mess up frosting something, can you?
That big one.
Oh, I forgot frosting on the big one, huh? You noticed that because that's the one you want to eat?
I noticed it because it was big and it doesn't have frosting on it.
I'll come back and grab that one. If you were using walnuts and raisins, let's say you were using this as a Christmas gift and you made these in round tins. That's what my mom would do for Christmas gifts. After you frost them, take your walnuts and sprinkle the walnuts on top of the frosting. And that adds another layer of walnut goodness. Because walnuts, we're gonna say they're the best nuts, then I just thought about pistachios. So walnuts are the best nuts for cinnamon rolls, let's say that. Okay, now we'll take them out and eat them, and I have to show you how I take them out because there is a way to take them out properly and improperly. Okay, we're almost to the eating part. This is showing that I'm particular in certain things, but you can't just grab a spatula and jam it down into the creases of the cinnamon rolls to cut them, because that mashes the dough in such a way that is not good. So use a fork and separate them. So I like to just take a fork and separate it out. Then you have no mashed dough. Sometimes you could kind of pull it off. So there's Jake's portion. And there's mine. Okay, you'll probably have leftover frosting if you're like me. You don't want to waste it. There's lots of, you could stick it in the fridge and put that small amount in the next frosting you make. Or you could have it with pretzels as a dip, which is really good. Or you could have it with on graham crackers. Or my personal favorite is spreading a little bit of frosting on saltine crackers. Very delicious. You should try it if you haven't. Now let's eat.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kammermans.
Go ahead and eat. So what are you celebrating today? Feel free to share with us down in the comments. So happy Cinnamon Roll Day, everyone. Don't forget, find joy in celebrating today.